strip it away of like all of its cultural and religious trappings and the cultural conditioning that we've thought to believe about prayer, and just look at it for exactly what it is. All prayer is a dialogue between individual intelligence and universal intelligence. And what you could even say is that it's a dialogue between your conscious awareness and everything that's unconscious, between the 5% that we have control of, allegedly, and the 95% that's under the surface. So prayer is a process of dialoguing. And most often, prayer, I think, is used more like spiritual vitamins. It's like, okay, we pray every night before bed. Yep, okay, please God, give me what I ask for. Here's my Christmas list. Why doesn't this work? And that's not a very cool dialogue. Like, how would that feel if somebody did that to you? It's like, all right, we got to talk every night before bed, and I'm going to tell you everything I want and everything I don't want. And if you don't give it to me, I'm going to be upset. You know, you probably wouldn't be friends with that person for so long. And so no wonder so many don't have a direct connection and a direct relationship with God. So yeah, of course, you know, we're blocking it. So the practice of prayer is the practice of forming a relationship with universal intelligence, to the point, ultimately, as it evolves, and it takes some time, trust me, like it takes some practice, but it's worth it. As it evolves, there becomes this sort of tangible feeling of feedback, like the dialogue is tangible. It might not be in words all the time. It might not be in like the way that we're communicating now, which is very obvious. But the dialogue is there in the forms of our life experiences, things that come into our life without us expecting them, things that we weren't looking for. The dialogue happens in our dreams, even in spontaneous thoughts, like when I'm sailing down the river and it's like deep game, you know? That's a result of a whole lot of intent, like burning desire and prayer. And so universal intelligence is never not in communication with individual intelligence. Individual intelligence is just so focused on itself that it doesn't hear the message. So prayer is the process of opening up to the message, and the way that we open up is first with gratitude. So as you take your sort of prayer posture, whatever that may be, doesn't matter what it is, you know, there's nothing mystical that I know of about this posture, but you can do it if it feels good. You can do it like this. I find myself letting my like body move in like whatever way. I kind of do all kinds of crap, you know, whatever feels right. You can see how this posture is very receptive. It's open. And going into the practice of prayer with a whole bunch of preconceived notions and thoughts and ideas, even if like you just finished watching Breaking Bad and your mind's muddled with all this material, or you just finished reading a book, or you just finished a conversation with somebody, it's going to be really hard to cut through that and actually receive the dialogue. So go in ideally with a little bit of clarity, like, you know, even if it's like you turn the show off for the night, you go upstairs silently and brush your teeth in silence rather than looking at TikTok or something. If you want to look at the daily review, that's okay. I haven't found that obstructs anything, but play with it, see for yourself. Go in as still and clear of a state as you can. Doesn't have to be perfect. Opening up with genuine gratitude, and again, intent is 8 bodies deep. So it's not just thinking, saying the words, yes, I'm grateful for this, and I'm grateful for this, and la-di-da, life is great, thank you, thank you. It's actual emotional resonance. The universe speaks in the language of energy, so prayer is a projection of energy. as a form of communication. I'm projecting energy into the universe and seeing what it gives back. So when there's emotional resonance, the prayer opens up. And then ultimately, I've found the best results not in praying for specific things that I want, but for clarity of my vision, for strength of my intent, and for feedback. So the formula that we went through during this session, I pray to strengthen those aspects. Not just gimme, 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 but show me. And as you're asking or praying, take note of the feeling below the feeling. Because in many cases, there's fear driving it. There's like, okay, I pray for clarity because, oh my God, this sucks so bad. What are we projecting? We're projecting a whole bunch of, oh, this sucks so bad. So bring the best version of you to God, you know? Come to the universe with the like full force of your power as a creative entity. So if there's fear underneath, if there's like a ton of anxiety, then maybe we need to practice. Maybe we need to pray for like stillness. You know? Bring your energy into alignment. Otherwise, the prayer is not going to work. And once again, you know, clarity, direction, feedback. You can ask, what am I not seeing here? Like, where am I obstructed? Can you show me? And if the prayer is authentic, rather than egoic, as we spoke about, if it really feels right, and it's not colored by a lot of fear or by, frankly, inauthenticity, like that's synonyms. So if it's not obstructed by ego, then the answer is pretty much always yes. Like you'll get something in return. It comes back. But one way that we do block that is belief. So belief is the fuel that channels the prayer. Your belief in the prayer itself is the magic that makes it happen. You're the master of the universe, in other words. Like if you believe it to the point that it's not even so much a belief anymore. I know we spoke belief and knowledge, but reality distortion field, Steve Jobs style, it's just like, you know it's happening, you're saying it, you're speaking it into reality. It will shock you at how quickly reality starts to change.
That was in the Bible. That was Jesus said something, believe as if it were received or something like that.
Believe as if it were received. And so if we pray, like think about the language, and I should say prayer doesn't have to be in words. You can just project the energy even, you know? But assuming we're praying in words, if I say, I pray for a life partner to come into my life, I pray for a romantic partner, that implies that I don't have one, right? It implies a lack. So what I'm praying for is reinforcing the thing that I don't have. And a different way of doing that is like expressing energetically expressing gratitude for the process of finding that person. That's different. It's like, this is happening. This is in process. If you just say, thank you for the love of my life, thank you for the love of my life, and you're talking about her as though she's like in bed next to you, well, you know that's not true. So there's a whole bunch of disbelief and distrust in your system that's being projected out, that's clouding the prayer. So say it in the way that it rings true. There's a very specific feeling to get to know with this when it's like it just is. Like you're speaking it and it just is. And it's full trust, full faith, full conviction, not towards like, give me another Bugatti, because there's parts of you inside that are going to be like, that's just some bullshit, you know? If it was a fully authentic desire, that Bugatti would eventually appear, you know, according to the philosophy of prayer. But if it's not authentic, then there are parts of us that are blocking it. And it's not blaming it on God that it's blocked and not happening. It's taking personal responsibility that some of me is not in alignment with this prayer. You have creative control. And the last thing is that when prayers are self-centered, meaning like it's all about me, that's not necessarily bad. But if it's all about me, there's a much narrower expression of energy, right? If it benefits the whole, if it's really in harmony with the whole, energy can expand further outwards. So the prayer becomes stronger. And back full circle to our original thought experiment, what if you are creating your entire reality? Consider that whatever you've prayed for and whatever you're praying for is being given to you in the way that you were actually praying for it. That's an interesting thought. It's consider that what you're praying for is actually being given to you in the way that you're praying for it. So it might not be what you thought you were praying for, but what your energy expressed is being given back to you in an exact copy. Just think about that. I'm not even trying to make assumptions or suggestions. I'm just saying consider it, and it may change how you construct your prayer and what type of energy you take to it.
So would you say if it's, say after meditation practice and like you're working with a big blockage and you're a little charged, that's probably not the best time to do a prayer, right?
So one way you could do it, and it's, if it's the blockage and you're like fixated on the blockage and just saying, please help me through this blockage, that's probably not the best. But if you just instead take this sort of receptive, open gratitude posture, number one, the blockage may actually begin to move just by taking that posture. It's like, thank you for the blockage. What information does it have for me? What feedback is it giving me? Because all of this, like the internal world and the external world, are mirroring each other. We just don't have access to the whole internal world, so the external world doesn't make sense sometimes. So a dynamic prayer would be like praying to the blockage, like being grateful for the energy that it has and the information that it's sending. So there's ways to do it, you know, and there are so many more kind of nuances like that it's hard to even articulate them all in a session. Like maybe we could do, I don't know, like a 90-minute, 2-hour session on prayer, potentially. There's that much material at least. But even better is to kind of discover it on your own. Like much better is to do the practice and let the practice kind of inform, and the thing that informs is that feeling of rightness and receptivity. It's like, oh, I actually feel a connection. And that can be like a slow trickle at first, like a hose that's just like dripping, dripping, dripping. And if you've never felt water, that's like really profound. It's like, oh my God, wet. Like, holy shit. Like, that's wild. That exists. Oh my God. That's one version. In the case of most prayer, it seems to just be like looking at the hose, you know? But then drops can come out, and eventually that can become like a steady stream of flow. And all of this, like the energetic posture that you're projecting and gratitude and receptivity, all of that, eventually prayer becomes unnecessary. Like the practice of prayer becomes unnecessary because your whole life is a sort of prayer. And so sitting down, we don't need to take our vitamins because we're healthy. I'm not deficient, you know? Maybe I have deficiencies personally still, but like ultimately, Christ didn't need to take vitamin C, you know? It was just like he is the prayer.